Okay.
And we are live. Welcome to Alive and Kicking It podcast with Patricia. And Patricia is oh I'm not doing this very oh my god, like yeah, I have like a little bit of a left right issues, and then when I have to do it like here it's like the opposite. It's like totally confusing. But here where you see my finger is Miss Patricia. Welcome to your podcast. What are we going to talk about today?
Hello, Evie. So pleased to see you
Hi.
again. Yes, and today we are going to talk from my van. We're going to
Mont
talk,
Ventoux, which is like
yeah,
super
near the Mont
famous
Ventoux,
for.
but we can see it. We can't see it because it's over there in the background anyway. And
What is it famous for?
well, it's famous for bike races and from the Tour de France.
Ta-da! Because like
Yeah, da
we're
da.
broadcasting from France.
I've been raced up the Mont Ventoux several times. So, but anyway, that's past. So today we're going to talk about what suffices to make us children. That's the title, if I remember well, of this
Yes.
podcast. Okay,
What suffices to make us children?
and it's the title came to me because of an excerpt from Henry David Thoreau's journal I read, and I keep reading again anyway. So maybe I will start reading about it. I will start reading the excerpt, and then we'll see what it can lead us, where it can lead us to. So it's very very strangely it's that's a piece he wrote some more than 100, let me see, 80 years ago. He was 22 at the age he wrote that.
Wow.
And I don't remember the exact date when he wrote it. Let me see. Yeah, he wrote it on not well 18th of February 1839. Okay, so
Wow. That's
yeah,
not so far from this
182
date,
years
but
ago.
like, wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, oh my god, it could have been the exact same day,
Yeah.
but almost. And so I read it in English. I'm trying to do my best. Okay, I'm not a very good English reader, but anyway, a very meager natural history suffices to make me a child. Only their names and genealogy make me love fishes. I would know even the number of their fin rays and how many scales compose a lateral line. I fancy I am amphibious and swim in all the brooks and pools in the neighborhood, with the perch and bream or doze under the pads of our river amid the winding aisles and corridors formed by their stems with the stately pickerel. I'm the wiser in respect to all knowledges, and the better qualified for all fortunes, for knowing that there is a minnow in the brook. Methinks I've need even of his sympathy, and to be his fellow in a degree. I do like sometimes when he balances himself for an hour over the yellow floor of his basin. So that's an excerpt, I'll repeat, from the journal of Henry David Thoreau that was written between 1837 and 1861, because he died at a very young age, we could say. So that's something he says it from the start. It just makes me a child. And what I'd like to emphasize is that it's the question, what suffices to make you a child? Because that's a question you can have with you at all times. What suffices to make you a child? Not what we can really call a child, what the child truly is. That is, and which is explained here, not explained, but shown through that excerpt, is that when he is like a fish in the pond when he's watching the fishes in the pond, when he's watching the minnow. He says it. I fancy I'm amphibious and swim is as the fish or is as the minnow. And there's no separation between him or the pond and the minnow, the fishes, and nature. He is. And nature is him too. That's what you can get through that excerpt. And being a child, well, that made me think of when I was truly a child and there was no separation. I was complete. I was complete. I was nature. I was the kittens I was playing with. I was the frogs I was watching, or I was whatever, or the tree leaves, or you are it. And the it is you at the same time. There's no separation between the two. And you have that sense of completeness that you can go back to when you were a child. Of course, there's no real memory of it, but it's just that sense of it. You can, well, get connected to that sense of completeness where there was no separation, everything was there and you were everything.
Is that when you like those times when you like feel complete and there's like no need of any kind? You're just like totally there?
Yeah, totally there. And you are everywhere too at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you relate to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it set me thinking that as adults, or even as children, very early in childhood and then teenage and adulthood, we get so much separated from everything, from others, from our own body, from ourselves, from, well, I'm not going to go on that. And it's so difficult to find again that sense of completeness, which is life in itself, really. Because otherwise, what's the point of living if you keep being separated from everything? And well, you can go very easily. It's like you can go back to that sense of being a child even when you are an adult. You get connected to that sense of completeness as a child just by asking what suffices here to make me a child in any situation, every situation.
Yeah. What I see for myself when you and there's like you grow up and there's like a lot of like adult stuff that like needs to be handled the adult way, and how often you go into your head of like how you should do it, or like the way that it should show up, or like even like in relationships, you have like this way that you should be with somebody, or that person should be something, and it takes actually away all the fun that you can have when you were a kid. Because I remember when I was a kid, I would play with boys and girls, and it was different playing with with girls and then playing with boys, and it was just total play.
Yeah, because you were aware, you were aware there was a difference, but you were not making anything out of it or
no, I wasn't thinking.
It was just it's okay.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking anything of it.
Or maybe you were watching, but you were aware of things. You had that knowledge that there were boys or girls or whatever, and you could have some fun in noticing the differences or adapting to the differences. And I suppose you could even have the sense that you could either be a girl or a boy. Okay.
Yeah.
And And that's it. And it's about like what Thoreau telling us about his experiment with the pond and the minnows and the fishes in it, and that it could become the amphibious being they were. And that's it. And there's no divide. There's no separation. You can be anything.
So can you like say, if I look back where I looked at when I was like a kid and like now, can you like, probably all the stuff that keeps us from like just being like children is like all learned behavior of what you should or what you shouldn't, or what's right or what's wrong.
Yeah, what's needed, what's not needed, what's required of you, etc. All the do's and don'ts, and also all the judgments. Because, for example, if you let's take the example of a wee girl, small girl. Okay, she's wearing a nice dress, whatever, and if she goes near that pond and is about to watch the fishes, and she wants to jump on into the water and get a closer look at the fishes, well, guess what her mother's gonna say?
You
Oh
can't.
no, don't do that. You're gonna dirty your
This is
dress or
dangerous.
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, girls, don't do that.
All that
And
stuff that
okay,
comes
so
with it.
yeah, it can start at the age of, I suppose everybody, you do, I do, we remember things like that, or similar things, like starting from the age of 1 and almost 1 year, 1 year old maybe, or 2 years old, depending. But we remember, well, things that have been said to us and that have totally modified, changed our way of being with what was around us and with ourselves. And
Yeah.
we've become, then we started judging what we were doing.
Yeah.
And that's the dreadful thing of it, because actually, when I say what I wanted to point out too, when we say what suffices to make us children, it's very children at an early age, before that state of separation, when we're still complete. But we all have these remembrances. I think we can all get back to that, to the energy of it, because it's about energy. And what I like, it's okay, it goes everywhere. What I like about what Thoreau says is that he says that being the fishes, being the minnow in the water of the pond, he has and he be all knowledge and all fortunes. Fortunes meaning possibilities. And that's so brilliant, you know? Because just with that excerpt here, you get everything that makes us humans, I'd say. Yeah. And not just strangers to ourselves.
I love that. I would even say like all the experiences that I have of like that, how you like, maybe you can call it like communion with, you know, the fishes and the pond, and it's like all of those experiences I've had of like that oneness.
Yeah, that's it. That's the word. Oneness. Oh, you're frozen here. Be patient.
Oh, I'm back. Yeah. And if it's
Yeah,
like
you were
what
frozen on the
I
word
sort of like go, if
oneness.
it's like done so, and now Patricia's frozen, we're taking turns to freeze. If it's like done more easily in nature, like one of my hopes and dreams is, how can I be that all the time? Because like those moments are so amazing. They're like, it's like those moments where time stands still and like literally nothing else matters. It's like all the problems that were like existing before just like totally melts into a non-existence, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I know, because, well, with, let's say, bad moments, okay, heavy moments come back, but the more you ask the question, it's like a tool. That question is a tool. The more you use it, the more you will ask yourself the question, what it can be the question, which is the title, what suffices here to make me a child, or what child can I be here, or what completeness can I be here to deal with that. Okay, that's the question you can ask. And the more you ask it, you don't even, at one point, you don't even have to ask it again. It's just there, because by asking it, you sort of convene. It's like convening the energy of it, of that completeness, of that oneness. And then you have the energy which is here. You don't, hold on to the energy, but the energy comes and go and is here at every time you're stuck somewhere, and you get that energy, and it's enough to get you expanded and to bring in lightness, and just because that's all there is to it. It's not that complicated.
So you just have to like catch yourself, like, okay, I'm doing something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to call it. I'm doing that again.
That's what I say to myself is, I'm doing the adults.
Yeah. What would a child, if I were a child here, what would I do?
Mm-hmm.
I like that childlike wonder. I so love that. Yeah. So love that.
Well, and you were that child.
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally. I remember not like vividly, but more like energetically, not just like the whole picture, but like energy wise, like I had a lot of adventures when I was a child.
That's it. The word
Especially like, I don't like, I'm sure we in everywhere around the world you have like the big school holidays, where man, I just so many different adventures that we did with the kids around the block. And it was like all day long, every day, all day.
All day long.
Was
like, see you laugh and you smile. That's it. That's it.
And there was so much adventure. There was just so much fucking adventure around the block. Just like all along, like around the block.
I don't know, just in space as small as that one. It's just pure adventure all day long. And so we each one of us, we know that. So it's just about reconvening that, or summoning that again in the energy, and we get the knowledge and everything, and then we have the knowledge and the possibilities that sort of blossom in the moment when we get to be that again.
Yeah.
And well, being an adult, I love being an adult too, okay? But in that reality, being an adult, for me, being an adult is being an adult of consciousness. But an adult of consciousness can be a child too, at any moment. I can choose what a child would choose, or the child I was would choose at any moment.
Yeah.
It's not about being serious and judgmental.
Yeah. No, I reckon like what you said, like with that, the was it the parent of consciousness or the adult of consciousness, is like where you start to like really deal with things. Because like as a kid, there's a lot of adventure, but there's not a lot of stuff that you need to deal with to like, get things organized, like living space or whatever, that's like taken care of all for you. So when you're like an adult, there's those things that you need to handle. And I've had like a lot of, because I learned that from my parents, that like avoiding things, avoiding to deal with. But there's actually a really cool thing, and it's very empowering when you have both the childlike wonder and then like that thing where you like as an adult deal with things in a very empowering way.
Yeah, that's it. And but when you as children, you deal with the things you have to deal with. Actually,
Say that again.
as a child, true that we don't deal
And
with the
Patricia's freezing. She'll be right back.
logistics of life.
It's because she's in a van.
Or
You're back.
the one too. Tell me.
On the one too.
So tell me.
You were going to.
Yeah. You're frozen. Your turn to be frozen. Oh my God.
And I'm back.
Okay. And am I back?
You are. We are both back.
Okay. Sorry for that. Well, yes. What was I saying? Yeah, I was saying that as children, we don't deal with the logistics of life. And as if our realm or kingdom didn't extend that far. And but we deal with everything we are responsible for or we have got to deal with, and we are already very much empowered. And then afterwards, but yeah, you said that you've been that's interesting, you've been taught avoidance.
Yeah.
Avoidance of logistic things. Is that
And it was not like that. My parents said, Evie, and now you have to avoid your financial reality, and now you have to avoid relationships, or you have to avoid like difficulties in life. They never told me that. It was just like pure energetically that they gave that to me. That was my inheritance.
Energetic inheritance. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, but your true inheritance is that you're an energetic child, the energetic child you were. That's your personal inheritance.
Yeah.
And each one of us, we have inherited that.
And that's like when you start to grow up, when you grow from a child into an adult, like in a way that's like empowering, is, for me personally, I don't know how it is for you, is like to start to like question everything. And probably like the first thing that you start questioning is, well, for me anyway, was like the things that weren't working anymore, the way that I was like, where relationships weren't working anymore, or the way that I was like dealing with my finances. And there's like a few more things where I was like, had to like,
froze it again.
Yeah, a lot of the things that weren't working in that area were things that I've totally picked up from my parents, and just like starting to question it, and then like, okay, well, what's my way here? And like give it some time to unravel and do things differently. Dealing with it, but in a different way.
In a different way. Yeah, we've got to deal with the cards we're given anyway. And we do that all through life because we're very, very cute creatures. But what's interesting, you got frozen at one time, so I couldn't listen to everything you said, but what was really what pinged me is when it's very interesting to have that awareness, each of us, of knowing when we went from that child stage, when we're child, to that stage when we became kids, because we started taking in our parents' upbringing, our parents' own point of views, or energetic feeding, because very often that's what you said, that was energetic feeding, sort of. They weren't even aware of it themselves.
Totally. And like culture and all that unspoken stuff.
And even if we don't, even if we don't go into the past and watch everything that took place, because the past is the past, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very, very interesting to know, not when, but to know about that transition from the child in completeness we were to the child that began to be divided. You know, to have that awareness. Not when, but how it could come about. And then to be present with what we were before that transition. And also something else I'd like to point out about what Thoreau says, that ability to become, for example, the amphibious fish, or to become something else or someone else in nature or around us, is what you call communion. It allows you to change your perspective, to change your point of view. And that's what's interesting when you say to yourself, now, what would the child I be, see or do or be here? Because then you change your point of view altogether. And you open up the door to possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of,
what sort of just like came to me as well as like, how did Thoreau came to this, like to this way of like looking at things? And one of the things that I wonder that he was doing is, instead of like, because like here in this society life or whatever, like everyday life, we do and we participate, and there's always like interaction and conversations and work, and there's always like so much stuff that needs to be like dealt with and that you like do in a day. And I for sure, before 2020 and the whole lockdown, there was always like this do without like ever stopping. And like he must have like to have that awareness of like feeling one with the fish and the pond, is like observing, like literally like to sit back somewhere, relax, and like really observe nature and like tap into their worlds. Like stop for a moment to be in that world of rat race.
And it's about, you said the word, it's about relaxing. You do, well, you be that from relaxation. I think we've already mentioned that somewhere, but it's being present, being totally, completely attentive, that is present, and from relaxation. Because from relaxation, you're not going to be present in order to gather knowledge about the fish or whatever, or, you're just present from relaxation. You're totally there, and you're not expecting anything, or you're not, the past is away. You're just there. And that's what gives us that feeling of completeness. That's what it is about being children.
Yeah. Wow.
We've already mentioned that children can be that.
Chris, you're making me all excited.
Yeah. That's really from relaxation. And thank you for mentioning that, because that's it.
Wow. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you to you, and thank you to Thoreau.
Yes, Henry, good old Henry. You're such a gentleman.
And well, yes, if I would recommend everybody to read his journals, because you just, at times
I have a little bit of a judgment about it, I'm gonna be honest. that he's gonna be like a boar, like a sad boar that's like
Oh my
lost
God.
in. I know. I think I'm going to change my mind.
That's an interesting point of view. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
what's interesting anyway, some passages, what's interesting, there are so many pages of his journals. So if one entry one day doesn't please you, or you think it's boring, you just go on to the next entry. Some are, and he was so much in communion with nature, and it probably was among the first ones to see what the magic of the Indian culture in America. He speaks so beautifully about the Indians, and he was the one who wrote Civil Disobedience, and he's been he's a hit now in bookshops, because he was the first one. Because I suppose I don't really remember that, but he was supposed to pay taxes, but he thought the taxes he had to pay were not fair. So he went into civil disobedience, and he was the first one to advocate that,
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
very, very interesting person, really.
That's pretty cool.
Uh-huh.
Henry.
Henry. Good old Henry.
Thank you so much for this.
Okay. And yes, well, people can go and read the article or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the excerpt because it's so cool. And if there's like any links that you can like give me that I can add, I'm happy to.
Okay, I'll give you the link to my article and to maybe to Thoreau's journal, but I think it's my article.
Right, your blog that you've written about him.
Yeah, my blog.
Yeah, that's a good one to add that blog.
Because people will have everything.
Yeah. Actually. I love that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Evie. Thank you.
A wonderful conversation that's unraveling. I love those conversations. It's like those conversations that don't end. They unravel.
And you can go and try to find a pound, your own pound, and what suffices to make you a child again.
Yeah. Too many more puns.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you a lot, and thank you to whoever will listen to that in the future or now, whatever. Okay.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Bye, Patricia.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.